Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution. We are at 772 on the episode count. Happy Monday morning. Probably not so happy for many of you as you're going back to the office today. Maybe not. Maybe this is a holiday. Is today a federal holiday? Is there mail today? Because I know last Monday was a federal holiday because of Christmas falling a Sunday. Uh, that's what happens when you work from home, sell baseball cards out of your basement. You'll lose track of these things. When I worked my previous job, when I worked in the office, if a holiday such as like the five majors, such as Christmas thing or Thanksgiving, I guess always falls on a Thursday. If Christmas and New Year's fell on a Saturday or Sunday, we were given a floating holiday. Now, we worked in transportation, so trucks are pretty much on the road year round, 365 days. So we always had to have a staffed office, somewhat. We could go half staff. Um, so we would not shut the office down on Monday, December 26th for Christmas because there were a lot of trucks on the road. We needed to have that office staffed. So on the sales side there was just three of us, and early on there was four of us. Um, and so we would do halvesies. Me and Mike would take uh, one day off, the other two would take the other day off. Uh, but we ended up getting them as floating holidays. So December 26th wasn't a holiday per se in our office. We could float that to hell, March if we wanted to. Like, I'm going to go to spring training, so tack that on. March 8th is going to be my Christmas day. So that's how we worked it. Of course, that's a little different than just a regular business office. So I don't know. Is there mail? Is there mail today? I guess I could Google it. It's funny when you're on Facebook and you see people. Is the post office? You can go. Google's a better. I think I just bitched about this the other day. Google's better than Facebook. You'll get your answer faster. Is the post office open today? Boom, way faster. Didn't really get my answer as quickly as I thought. I've got to click a link. Damn, I thought Google would just have it right there at the top. So here's the service schedule. Sunday, January 1st and Monday, January 2nd. Local post office locations will be closed. No mail today. No mail today. Mail will not be picked up in the blue collection boxes. So just for safety purposes, don't drop your packages in a blue box today. They won't be picked up until tomorrow. Regular mail will not be delivered. Save a trip to the mailbox. No mail today. And there's Jason answered my question in the chat. So chat was faster than me Googling. Let's go into the chat. Brian, what's happening? Good morning to you. Victor, what's happening? Todd, good morning. Victor, I'd like to get your thoughts on JJ McCarthy's girlfriend and his dad. Did any of you see this crazy social media? I saw nothing wrong with what the video quote portrayed. So it was like a celebration. JJ McCarthy has an attractive girlfriend. She was sitting, obviously, with JJ's parents in the stands during the playoff game on Saturday. During a celebration, the mom was like high-fiving somebody else. The girlfriend was high-fiving someone else. Poor dad doesn't know what to do. What do I do with my hands? So it's like he didn't even touch the girlfriend. It was like a graze, and then he just kind of did like a back, but it was not like a grope like all these nerds on social media. Oh, look at JJ's dad trying to grope his girlfriend. I didn't see any of that. I wish I was on StreamYard. I could play the video. Maybe I should. That should be, I hate New Year's resolutions. Maybe that should be my New Year's resolution. You're paying for StreamYard. Use it, you moron. Anyway, I saw it was just, it's basic. So what it reminded me of what this media storm reminded me of with the JJ McCarthy's dad girlfriend in the stands. What it reminded me of was just a brief split second that made something innocent look not so innocent. And it reminded me of current NBA, you could probably call him a star, Jalen Brunson. When he was in high school, and I think it was his junior year, he played for Stevenson High School. They were very good. They had Jalen. They played in, unfortunately, this was a semifinal game in the state finals against Whitney Young, a power in Chicago. And in that Whitney Young, I broadcasted a Whitney Young game, and they had, I think they ended up having 8 Division I players on a high school basketball team. I'm trying to think of who was. Jahlil Okafor was a freshman when I broadcasted that first game. Jahlil Okafor, who went to Duke in the NBA. Paul White, who went on to Georgetown. Thomas Hamilton, Jr. Did he go to Duke? Or maybe that was dad. I can't remember. But Thomas Hamilton, Sam Thompson, Ohio State. Who else was on that team? But I mean, that team was loaded. Anyway, the second team, the Whitney Young team, this was Jahlil Okafor's, I believe, senior season, met up with Stevenson in the semifinals, the Final Four at Carver Arena in Peoria, state finals. And that was that 4A? I think that was 4A. So I'm working with the broadcast crew. I'm doing advanced stats on the side. So I'm like right at half court. I've got the best seat in the house for an amazing game. Jalen Brunson sets an Illinois State record. He scored like 56 points and lost. Okafor had like 40 points and 18 rebounds, something crazy. It was an awesome game. Went to overtime. Whitney Young wins. So Okafor wins the battle against Brunson. Obviously, they weren't guarding each other. But at the end of the game, Jalen Brunson's, losing, and he just like throws his hands in the air, okay? So it was after like a foul or something. I can't remember the exact circumstance, but he's walking back from like the north end of the court to the south end of the court. Now, mind you, the Whitney Young, and it was a pretty small student section, the Whitney Young fan section was in the south corner of the arena. And Jalen Brunson's walking from the north to the south. So he's like basically walking in that direction to the Whitney Young, his opposition fan section. And he's frustrated. He throws his hands up in the air. And when I saw it in real time, I'm like, that's going to look bad in a still photo. I don't think I thought those exact words, but I'm like, what's he doing? Because it was a moment of frustration, and it looked bad, but it didn't look as bad as the still photo. Because guess what was plastered? Again, StreamYard would help. Guess what was plastered on the front page of the sports section in the whatever Chicago newspaper? What appeared to be Jalen Brunson flipping birds to the Whitney Young fan section. It was a split second. Now, I was probably one of the closest people, because this was near half court, to where this happened. To me, it didn't look like he was flipping birds. It looked like he was frustrated. And I kind of had a feeling it's going to look bad, the photos, because, there's flash bulbs going all over. It's like, ooh. But it didn't look like he was flipping birds to anybody. He was just frustrated. He threw his hands up in the air, and it was like that brief. But, when you start to slow-mo and you just throw your hands in the air, and all of a sudden, and his hands looked like this, because it's caught in a split second. It's fast action caught in a split second. Unfortunate set of circumstances. He ended up there was a lot of fallout. So this was a Friday semifinal game. So and it didn't. Here's the thing. So a buddy of mine works for the IHSA, and we were supposed to go to. We stay at the hotel. It's the Pierre Marquette, which is a block, half a block from the arena, and then it's downtown Peoria. There's Hoops, which is a sports bar that's really popular during the state finals. So my buddy from the organization, we were going to meet up after he finished up his duties. We were going to meet up for pizza and beer at Hoops. And he texts me and he's like, "Hey man, we've got some stuff going on. I'm not going to be able to make it over to Hoops." And so Jalen ended up getting, he had to sit out the first half of the third place game. Stevenson lost. It was the third place game. And I remember, I knew it was going to be a big deal. I didn't know he would get suspended and they were going to, I think they had to like work this out in a boardroom. But I think our initial plan was he's got to sit out the entire game, the third place game. So I walked in through the media entrances in the back, and I'm walking through, and there's a boardroom near that entrance. And one of my buddies from the local newspaper in Peoria, Kevin, was standing at the door, and a couple other media guys were standing at the door. And I'm like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "They're going to suspend Brunson for that photo." And so they were waiting outside, and Stevenson was going to forfeit the game without, if they didn't get Brunson in the game, they were going to forfeit. They didn't come out. In fact, it was like down to like 5 minutes on the clock for warmups. There's no Stevenson on the floor. Now, Jalen's dad is Rick Brunson, former NBA guy. He's not looking happy because of the circumstances regarding his son potentially getting suspended from the game. And I think what eventually happened was he sat out half the game. Stevenson agreed and came out, played that third place game. But that's what happens in a split second. Something that's, I'm not going to say was innocent, but it certainly wasn't what it appeared to be. You know, Jalen didn't flip birds, but in that split second, the camera caught it where it looked like that was what was happening. And that's what I feel happened to the whole JJ McCarthy's girlfriend dad situation. His dad didn't even it was completely in, you slow down. Oh, look at that. And people are sleuthing on the internet. Oh, look at what daddy's a pervert. No. The internet sucks sometimes. Social media sucks. It's also really good, but it also sucks. So there's my derailing the show already. Jason, what's happening? Good morning to you. My new year off to a great start. Dropped a heavy object on my toes when I woke up yesterday. That is not good. Well, hopefully the second day of January is better than the first. Burned my hand when cooking when I forgot I didn't have an UV glove on and grabbed a hot handle. Jason, take a nap, buddy. Take a nap. And then last night knocked over my box of eBay listed cards. So now I have to go. That's like my worst nightmare, especially that I have them organized, because it's happened one time. And now I'm like extra careful. Although I do have 2 boxes and I'm just like, I'm going to freaking knock these over. But it happened one time. I was pulling a box. It was this box here, pulling it off the shelf. And I think when I was putting it back on, it hit like the shelf because I wasn't paying attention. And the whole thing spilled. And fortunately, that box wasn't divided into, it would be a real disaster if it was like box 13 behind me or box 8, where it's like 8A, B, C. This box is just 2021 sorted by year. And then there were 2 or 3 tabs. So if I misplace a card, it takes me a little longer, but that's like my nightmare, is pulling a box and dumping it. And then, oh shit, that would suck. Christian says, good morning. Oh, let's talk about that. Who wants some Honolulu blue Kool-Aid? Got 2 Cecil Fielders off the want list yesterday in a Lions win. What a good day for Christian. You know, I wanted the Lions to win, but shoot, I didn't want them to win 41-10. Come on, Detroit, hang back. Come on, Chicago, put a little offense on the board. Not a good showing for the Bears. I wanted the Bears to lose, but I didn't want them to get blown out. So one game left. The Texans got blown out. So might as well win next week because we're going to get the second pick. I think that's kind of, the Bears have 3 wins. I think the Texans are still at 1 win. So I think Houston's locked up the number 1 overall pick. And I think the Bears have locked up the number 2 overall pick. I think they're still a game ahead of Denver's record, which Denver doesn't even get that pick. I think Seattle gets that pick. What a crappy trade that was. Oof. Hey, we could be Broncos fans, right? Let's see. So let's take a look. Yeah, when I looked at the scores, the Texans were getting blown out. Yeah, and they did get blown out, 31-3. Take a look at the standings. Let's see. In the NFC, the Bears by far the worst team in the NFC. Oh, not by far. Arizona's 4-12. So Arizona's right there. With 1 week to go. Let's see. AFC. Oh, the Texans have 2 wins. They're 2-13-1. The Colts are 4-11-1, and the Broncos are 4-12. So the Bears are in the passenger seat. You know, the Texans are in the driver's seat. Now, number 1 overall pick, Bears right, sitting shotgun for number 2. Mark Marinello, what's happening? Good morning to you. Victor did see that. Overreaction on the socials. No groping, not intentional. I agree 100%. It sucks. I mean, what it really sucks for is JJ McCarthy and his girlfriend. Like, now you've got that, you lose a game, a close game, college football playoffs, and then you have to deal with this crap on social media. Dan, what's happening? Good morning to you. Good evening to you, I should say. Which, by the way, you would be disappointed. I missed a Jeopardy question regarding, I feel through, what is it, like osmosis? I feel through my friendship with Dan and George that I have a leg up on Jeopardy when it comes to questions about Korea. However, I failed you. There's a university. Oh, it was in the category of world capitals, which I find myself very strong in world capitals. Not as strong as I was 20 years ago. There's a lot of new countries that have popped up since I was in high school, college. But this was a tricky category because it wasn't just like, what's the capital of South Africa? Now, that's a trick question because there's like 3 of them. What's the judicial capital of South Africa? It wasn't that, that spelled out. It was what world and it didn't even say country. It was like, this university is in which world capital, whatever it was. It was like Kim University or something. And I'm like, oh, that's gotta be Korea, Seoul. Well, you dummy, Bo, Kim. They wouldn't put a Kim University in South Korea. Pyongyang. And I know Pyongyang is the capital of North Korea. I just had that moment of ignorance and just assumed, oh, it's Korea. It's got to be South Korea. I just kind of ignore the northern part of Korea. Raphael says, I enjoy tales from working in college sports. Awesome. I'm glad that you do enjoy those because I share those, and I'm glad somebody appreciates them. And I worked, and I feel like it's kind of like growing up in a small town. I feel like there's more, and this sounds backwards. I feel like there's more, that's a bad word. It's not a good representation. I was going to say, I feel more cultured growing up in a small town because it's actually the opposite. So cultured is not the right word, but I just feel like you learn more life lessons growing up in a small town as opposed to a big city. Now, if you go to a big city and you're trying to be street smart and you grew up in Podunk, Cornfield, Illinois, you don't have the upper hand. But just in a lot of different life scenarios, I think growing up in a small town helps. Kind of like working in a small Division I athletics, because, when you think of like college athletics, and like especially travel. That's where the fun stories come from. It's all the travel. It's usually nightmares. But it's not like Michigan or North Carolina or Duke where they've got a fancy charter jet and they're just jetting all over the country. No, we're busing. We are the bus leagues of Division I college athletics. Have you ever ridden a bus 9 hours from nowhere, central Illinois to North Dakota? Not fun. Chicago's greatest basketball players. Ooh, I'm going to have to. What Chicago's greatest basketball players? So many of these I did not get to see, like Mark Aguirre, Nick Anderson. Oh, this is a fun list. D. Brown. Of course, I remember him from U of I, University of Illinois. Shannon Brown, who went on to Michigan State. Quinn Buckner, of course, on that undefeated Indiana team. Mo Cheeks. He's one I always forget about that's from Chicago. Terry Cummings. Back when DePaul was a dynasty. Eddie Curry, man. Oh, man, Eddie Curry. Anthony Davis. So I've got a story about Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is like one of the – Anthony Davis may have the craziest stories of all time when it comes to professional basketball players. And, of course, that's subjective. But he spurted from like 5'11 to 6'10 in like 2 years. So we, when I worked in small market radio, we would play in the Lisle Shootout in Lisle, Illinois. And one year I was broadcasting the Monmouth Roseville Titans. This would have been Anthony Davis's freshman or sophomore year, and Monmouth Roseville in the Lisle Shootout played Perspectives Charter. Now there's like 10, I think, Perspectives teams. Anthony Davis didn't make varsity. I mean, and that's like, didn't make varsity as a freshman or sophomore. That's pretty common. I mean, even we all know Michael Jordan didn't make varsity as a sophomore. He was on the JV. But Anthony Davis, he was like 5'11. And Perspectives Charter was a terrible team. They were like 5-25. Even Anthony Davis's senior year when he skyrocketed to 6'10 and was out of nowhere, went from like a player nobody heard of to one of the best prospects in the country. Just a fascinating story. So we played Perspectives Charter, and I think it was his freshman or so. I know it was, I can't remember if it was either his freshman or sophomore year, but I remember his senior year when all of a sudden he like skyrocketed and became like the number one national prospect. And it's like, he plays for Perspective, like all of the, if you're familiar with Illinois basketball, high school, like there's like magnets, there's magnet schools, but then there's magnet basketball schools. Simeon, Whitney Young, Westinghouse sometimes. Morgan Park has been one recently. And it just kind of changes over the years. You know, a couple guys who were AAU teammates, like, hey, I want to transfer to this, or one of their assistant coaches or head coaches from AAU coaches at Morgan Park. And so they just all flock to that school. So Perspectives Charter certainly wasn't it. And North Lawndale was one for a while. And so by his senior year, he plays for Perspectives Charter. It's like, what in the hell? Like, nobody plays for Perspectives Charter. And I'm like, we broadcasted a Perspectives Charter game. And so I went through the roster, and it's like, there's no Anthony Davis on this roster, and he would have been a freshman, I think. But of course, he was just a 5'11 basketball player. Not good enough to make a 5-25 varsity roster. Just an amazing story. If you have time, look up the story of Anthony Davis. Brian Wolf, what's up? Good morning. Brian says split second is why you need a camera with auto tracking and auto focus. There you go. John says, I had a card spill recently. Great chance to get to know the cards again. That's not the getting to know you I want to I want to do with my cards. Jason says, my box that fell is separated like your boxes are. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I feel for you, because that's like my worst nightmare. But hey, if that's my worst nightmare, I'm living pretty comfortable. If my worst nightmare is knocking over a box of baseball cards. I'm old enough to remember Matt Nagy was the Bears' problem, right? Are you old enough to remember the Canadian coach, Tressman? Oh my God. Remember, we were all Bears. Now, I shouldn't say all. Many Bears fans calling for the head of Lovie Smith. And now it's like, man, I wish we had Lovie. Well, maybe not now. But it's like, in hindsight, Tressman. And then who was the old Broncos coach? Oh, he was an ass clown. And then Nagy. I hated Nagy from, I shouldn't say hate. I heavily disliked Matt Nagy from his opening interview. It's like, this frickin' meathead. And he turned out to be who he thought he is who he thought he was. Oh man. Apologies to the late Dennis Green. I'm butchering his comments following that loss to the Bears on Monday Night Football. That was a fun game. In a fun press conference. Rip Denny Green. Cooter, what's up? Good morning. Herman in the house. Literally just woke up. Herman. Where are we at? Matty Ice Cards, what's up? Good morning. I came over from Zach's Sports Cards and Collectibles. He recommends you. Longtime Cubs fan. Matty Ice, welcome. Thanks for jumping on. I appreciate that. And thank you to Zach for the referral, the recommendation. Awesome. Herman says, John, sometimes it takes a tragedy to bring you closer to those you love. Herman, so eloquent on a Monday morning. Harlan in the house, what's up? John says, Forrest Gump grew up in a small town. And look at the life he lived. Let's see. Herman gave Matty Ice a sub. I'll have to do the same. Let's see. I struggle with figuring out YouTube. I'm trying to learn. I want to get to 5,000 subscribers in 2023. And I did something that I don't like doing. For some reason, I'd rather share my thoughts to mostly strangers, and I guess strangers become friends through this chat. But I hate putting my YouTube, I hate promoting my YouTube channel on my Facebook. And like a lot of my friends will be talking. I'm like, yeah, I do. It kind of leads from the question is, what's your like morning routine? You sell baseball cards in your basement. Like, what do you do all day? Great question. What do I do all day? I freaking ship cards all day. I put cardboard in envelopes. It's like, when it comes down to it, it's like I'm stuffing envelopes. Remember the mail order? You can make $1 per envelope. Just stuff envelopes. That's where I get my part-time employee. Stuff my envelopes. I'm going to create, is that stuffmyenvelope.com? Is that website available? So I said, well, I keep it routine because I do a YouTube show every morning and I just kind of go on and talk for an hour. And they're like, you have a YouTube channel? I didn't know that. And I'm like, you know what YouTube is? Do you watch more than dogs riding skateboards? Like, when I think of YouTube, even now, I just think like YouTube is where people go to watch cat videos. I don't know. So I did last night. I put my wife had posted on her real estate page about the closing of the new house, and it's a special one because it's our house and all that. And I'm like, okay, I need to get to 5,000 subscribers this year. So I need to do something different. If you do the same thing over and over, that's what the definition of insanity or whatever. So I have to do something different, because if I just push record every morning at 7 a.m. and talk, I'm going to get to 5,000 subscribers in like 45 years. So I need to do something different. So I'll just hammer it from all angles. So I posted on my Facebook page documenting the process. So maybe I picked up a couple friends along the way from my Facebook page. Let's see. John says, yeah. So, so I know John knows the bus life. I used to live on buses 9 months out of the year. So I'm preaching to the choir when it comes to bus life. John's the king of bus life. Good morning, Paul Carl Cards. What is up? John says Isaiah Thomas from Chicago. No one likes him. Garnett. So, I didn't get through the list. I'm only on the D's and E's. Yeah, Michael Finley, Ricky Green, Richard Griffith, Tim Hardaway, Hersey Hawkins, Jeff Hornacek, Juwan Howard, Eddie Johnson, Johnny Red Kerr, Marcus Liberty, Corey Maggette, George Mikan, Quentin Richardson, Doc Rivers, Derrick Rose, Cassie Russell, Bobby Simmons, Deion Thomas, Isaiah Thomas from St. Joe's, which was the next guy on the list, Evan Turner, also St. Joe's, legendary coach, the late Gene Pingator, great guy. Rest in peace to Gene. Dwayne Wade, Antoine Walker, Darrell Walker, Brian. How the hell did Brian Wardle make this list? I think Brian Wardle must have been the author. So there you go. Brian Wardle? Is this a joke? This has got to be a joke. Brian Wardle. Brian Wardle, by the way, is the coach at Bradley in Peoria. Let's see. So there you go. Kevin Garnett was not, because he wasn't technically homegrown. No, and Garnett did not make that list. He was not homegrown. He was from South Carolina. Only played 1 year in Chicago at Farragut with Ronnie Fields, which is kind of a tragic story. Car accident derailed his basketball career. Mark Marinello says joined the Card Spill Club a few weeks back. A full 5K box of 1976 baseball, took a nosedive down a flight of stairs, spoke languages I never knew existed. Oh, that's a bummer, man. Oh, that's a bummer. Oh, volume accumulation. What's up? You had mentioned a hack for the Fujitsu the other day and had a link. Could you post that again? I missed it and can't find it. So was that the hack for Chrome cards? Let me see if I can find that. Fujitsu Chrome cards hack. Let's see. I think it might be this video. So for somebody in the chat, and I apologize because I know they've mentioned it in the comments a few times. They're like, hey, here's my video. But it never shows up on my YouTube search. There's Don. All right, so I'm gonna do this. Is this it? Oh, I'm gonna like that video. This might be it, but it might not be. So I'm gonna drop that link in the chat. There you go. Because I think Card Dealer Pro, if it's not that particular video, I think there is a video that Ted from Card Dealer Pro put out about the hack where you remove the top roller, which I need to watch again. For some reason lately, because I scanned some Topps Pro Debut Chrome, and it was if I fed them in one at a time, even without removing the roller, it was scanning okay. However, it was like a pop-up every time. So it was a little slower. So I do want to try to pull that roller thing. I started to do it myself, and I don't trust myself trying to fix or do anything like that. So I need to learn the hack myself. Tracy, good morning to you. Cooter says it's better to spill a box of cards than to spill on a box of cards. That's wise words from Cooter. That is wise words from Cooter. John says, I meant Mikan. Yes, there you go. George Mikan was on that list. Let's see. Brian, what's up, Brian? K, Quincy is or was a basketball magnet. Also, if you love high school basketball, check out the Quincy Shootout. Unreal talent coming this year. Yeah, Quincy, the Blue Devils, one of the down. I said it downstate. I know downstaters hate it when you say downstate, but it is down the state of Illinois. Yeah, and back in the day, it's not as less of a magnet as it used to. Man, back in the Wild West days, Galesburg was like that. Galesburg and Quincy back in I think the 50s, Quincy had a star player that transferred to Galesburg, and it was big time news back in the day. And of course, in the late 90s, during the Joey Ray, Rod Thompson came in from Chicago. So that was big news. Matty Ice 3B collection. I'll get you back. Very cool. John Fox. There you go. I disliked John Fox. Victor says I disliked L. Smith. Oh, Victor disliked Lovey. I loved Lovey at first, and then I started. It's kind of like, you go your separate ways. But then in hindsight, and I should admit, I was probably on the dump Lovey bandwagon. But then after was it Trestman that immediately followed? Like a year into Trestman, it's like, oh my gosh, bring back Lovey. I miss Lovey. You don't know what you got till it's gone. Maybe Bears fans are the problem, not the coaches. Seems that's the common denominator. You never know. Let's see. Retro is in. What's up? I've been watching a ton of your content. Thank you. I recently made the decision to buy an 8170 in Car Dealer Pro. Very cool. I'm having problems. Not cool. I'm having problems with the scanner overcropping cards. I do all sports, but I also do Magic cards. Let's see. The black borders have been a nightmare to scan. Ooh. I'm not familiar with because I do know, like on Chrome cards, it's a tough scan. Do you have any tips to maybe make the background white? Yes. So within your the software for the 8170, if you go into it's like advanced settings, and I think it's page, there's a setting for background. You can only choose between two colors, black and white. But if you do have black cards, definitely make the background white. Most cards you want a black background because mini cards have a lighter border. But obviously there are exceptions. And I think with like Magic cards, that's probably, I think those are probably going to be more color than white. So there is a setting, go into advanced settings within your scanning software, which is Stream Capture? I can't remember. I'm not on a machine that had, like, my scanner is upstairs on a different machine. But it's in advanced settings. And then I think it's like page. It's one of those. There's like just a few. If you just start clicking on the different options, you'll eventually see it. And then you can click between black and white. Do you have any tips to maybe make the background? Yeah. So there you go. As far as if the actual image is not scanning good, which I don't think that's your problem. I think it's the background. That I don't know. But yeah, advanced settings. And then I think it's page, but it might be another one. And then you can switch it. Red Light 34, what's up? Good morning to you. Brian says this might be a hassle to some. Hack after a spill I had. You can get 20 cards with penny sleeves in a team bag, then label the bags also. Ooh, Brian, that is a pretty good hack. Volume accumulation. Yes, for Chrome and Prism. Thanks so much. You bet. Cooter says 5,000 subscribers is fine. Just don't give out 4,700 wrenches. Yes, sir. Bumpy Nixon. Yes, Bumpy Nixon. That is who it was. Yes. Retro is in. Says also I'm getting some blocking on my scans. I get that as well. I don't know. Not enough tutorials out there for this process. I am not sure where that's coming. I need to reach out to Don and find out if he knows. And I know he's not like the tech guy. He's more on the sales side than like the inner workings, but he probably does have an answer because I am getting some of that blocking as well. And I don't think like I'm a Control Alt Delete kind of guy. Is your computer not working? Is it plugged in? Have you restarted it? Those are my two fixes. And if I restart it and the problem persists, then it's time to call the professionals. Paul says you can take my wrench from my cold dead hands. You have earned the wrench, Paul. So yeah, I'm not sure where the blocking is coming from because I do get that as well. Dan, what's happening? Good morning to you. Dan bought a collection this weekend. Going through that. Let's see. What else did I have? Well, what did I want? Oh, the topic du jour, the topic of the day. I want to talk about 2023 we're in the first working day, I guess, for some of us, unless you're a postal employee or a federal employee, I guess it's a holiday. First working day of 2023. What will the year 2023 bring in the hobby? It's going to bring gassiness to me, apparently. And I don't think, what do you think? What do you think? 2023 is so yesterday. I know. What do you think the hobby is going to bring in 2023? And I thought about this, and it was, and I will admit, this was a spur of the moment topic. Harlan's last day, holiday for Herman, last day for Harlan. It sounds like most people have a holiday today. And I thought about this briefly, like, what do I think 2023 will bring in the hobby, which is a very generic statement or question. I think it's going to be pretty, when we make predictions, we tend to go like crazy with our predictions. And, like predict when I was in grade school. So I was born in 1982, graduated with the class of 2000. And so like all through school, since we were the class of 2000, our teachers wanted us to predict the future. What's it going to be like when you turn 18 in the year 2000? And of course, we thought flying cars. We basically thought the year 2000 was going to be the Jetsons. We were going to be living on the moon, flying our cars from planet to planet. Of course, we were also 10, so we weren't thinking clearly. But and that's to like kind of an extreme. But I think we tend to just overreact. I think that's just basic human behavior. You just overreact to everything. I'm guilty myself. So I started to think about it, and we all like, what's 2023? Oh, the hobby's gonna die, or the hobby's gonna explode. I think we think in extremes when it comes to, because we want to make a point. This is what I think. I think it's going to be more of the same in terms of the current market. Like as far as the general market, and this is speaking, and I know, and I'm starting to dislike talking about using the term hobby when it relates to the business and the industry. Is the hobby dying? Is a really dumb question, which I'm guilty of saying stuff like that. But really, when you think about it, is the hobby dying? Only you can answer that. Is the industry of is the baseball card market dying? I think that's a more representative question. But the hobby is never going to die if it's a hobby. You may move on and find a different hobby. Is the baseball card hobby? So I just take, is the hobby dying? No, the hobby isn't dying. Maybe for you or whoever asks the question, is the hobby dying? No. Anyway, I digress. I don't even know where I was leading with that thought. So let's go to the chat as I try to remember where I was at. Let's see. John says, holiday for most, including your mail person. The hobby, this will bring out the true collectors, not investors. So I'm going to kind of piggyback on what Wesley just said, because I'm kind of, I'm thinking along the same lines there. Dan says, I think the National will be happy they are in Chicago versus New Jersey. 100% agree with that. Kyle says Hobby Evolution should hit episode 1000 in 2023. That's a major accomplishment. Yes, sir. Thank you, Kyle. And I think I did the math, and I think episode 1000 is going to come in like July. What? I can't remember what the math. This is 772. I did the math. I think it's going to be in the summer sometime. It'll be. I know it's going to be at the new house, because it's not like, my wife is optimistic the new house is going to be done at the end of May. I'm a realist. And I think there's going to be some delays. Like when you're working with several different contractors, there's bound to be we're actually dealing with a delay. Thank you to the city and permits. Hopefully that doesn't actually delay the start of the, the framing. We can demo it, but there's certain things that are not permitted yet. So that could be a delay. So I'm a little more realist, and I think it's going to be into June. But hopefully it doesn't eke into July. But I do think that the Hobby Evolution 1000th episode, based on the numbers, I think is going to be in July. I do remember it's going to come once we're moved into the new house. We're still debating the predictions of Nostradamus. You've got 400 years before someone dissects your 2023 predictions. Retro is in, says NFL playoff hype, MLB prospect hype, LeBron scoring king hype, NBA NHL playoffs hype, MLB season hype. hype, rinse and repeat. Let's see. Flipping sports guy. Morning to you. Good morning. Hope everyone had a great start to the year in sales. I'll have to finish with my weekend recap because it was I'm doing a big sale, so that certainly helps. John says industry can shut down tomorrow and it'll be fine. I hope it does. Paul says my sales on the 1st were insane, all downhill from here. Harlan says September for 1,000. Now that's what I initially thought, but I'm starting to think, like, let's say we're at 772. Say there's going to be 25 episodes in January because there's going to be a couple days off. So 772 plus, say, just 25 more. Plus February, there's 28 days. So let's see. We'll say 26 plus, let's just say 22 in March. March. What comes after March? April. Let's do 28. May. Do 28. Yeah. So I think Harlan, I think it was September. So definitely should be moved in by September. So yeah, looks like September for episode 1000. And Harlan has a better memory than I. Flipping sports guy says, I hear you, Paul. I was surprised yesterday. It was a great day. Paul had a good day. If you go once a day, every day, mid-August is 1,000. And I won't. And that's where the math comes in, because I'll miss 2 days a month because of card shows. I'll miss like 3 days this month because of the Cubs convention. I'll miss about a week in March because of spring training. And then I'm sure there could be a random day that's missed just for whatever reasons. Paul says permitting is so dumb. I had a commercial lease where they denied our cert because this metal beam needed fireproof paint. So we did it, and they came back and told us the paint was the wrong color. Oh my God. Herman says, depending on the appliances and doors, windows you choose, contractors have been having issues getting certain stuff. And the windows is what the holdup is. And the reason is the windows currently go down to like the floor in some of the rooms. And so we're actually like raising the bottom edge of the windows up. So that's where the issue is coming from, changing the window size, changing some of the window sizes. Mark says, I've been collecting for 50 years and have no intention of stopping collecting vintage sets. They could stop printing cards tomorrow and I would be okay. And that's exactly how I feel. I love buying new product, but if they stopped printing new product, I like buying old product too, like bulk boxes. So, and there's plenty of holes to fill in with my Cubs collection that's already been printed. So, I would have no issues, and I would still enjoy it. I would probably enjoy it a little less because I do enjoy ripping new product. So don't get me wrong. It's not like I would love it as much as I currently do. It would take a hit because I do enjoy new product, but I also enjoy old product. Tracy says, don't you love dealing with permits? Our add-on was supposed to be done June. Delays at county made it not start until July, not finish until after Thanksgiving. Glad it's finally over. It sucks. Let's see. People die without permitting, as frustrating as it is. Wild card prediction. We will see a renaissance of interest in beauty of base cards by the end of the year, and people will learn to turn the card over and read the backs. That's a bold prediction. Dan is a dreamer. I'm with John on this, Dan. I'm sorry, Dan. I love the optimism, but I'm with John on that one. Speaking of backs, does anyone have a resource to teach me about the different back variations in the 1959 Topps baseball set? My own, I would just say Google. Just Google it and try to find an article. Flipping Sports Guy says base cards may come back for the pure fact that people won't be able to afford more. So I don't really have a bold prediction. Empty water bottle below me. But I don't think there's going to be, I think in the general 2022 brought us a lot of like bold breaking hobby news. It started like right away. Was it January 4th? Boom, Fanatics acquires the license or whatever. Or was it Fanatics no, I think that came in because I remember I was sitting on my patio, so it would have been in the summer when Fanatics acquired the license to baseball, the baseball license. So it must have been January 4th is when Fanatics bought Topps. So I don't think we're going to see like any splashy waves. I think the Fanatics Panini deal is DOA. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we'll see kind of we'll start seeing more and more of the Fanatics plan is in terms of trading cards and what they're going, how they're going to formulate, their stranglehold as the trading card empire in terms of working with card shops. And I know some people, card shops are going to die with Fanatics. Not at all. I think card shops will thrive. Certain card shops will thrive. And I think Fanatics is still testing. And based on what I've heard from various card shop owners, it sounds like in what they're in how they're I think this MVP buyback is a great test example for Fanatics and who's going to play nice with Fanatics and participate. Who are the participants and how will they perform? How many customers are they bringing in the door, bringing them Paul Goldschmidt, Aaron Judge, Topps Chrome cards? It gives Fanatics some great intel on workings of a card shop with this incentive through ComC. Don't want to leave ComC out of this. So I think card shops will start to see the working relationships more and more. That's already began. That began last year. It's weird to say 2022 is last year. But I think that's probably the splashiest we'll see. I think we're going to see more of the same. In terms of the overall market, I think it's going to be much like it has been the last few months. I think we'll see a steady decline continuing through 2023 in terms of the overall market and those sales starting to settle. I think we'll eventually start to see a settling. I think certain products and players, I think some of the GOATs and the vintage, I think has settled. It's come off those peaks. And I was listening to Mike Moynihan and JT on Bench Clear Media. I was listening to that video yesterday, and I thought they provided some good insight, especially when it came to, I think JT was dissecting the sales numbers on Mike's top 50 collection. And I thought it was very insightful on peak pricing, where Mike bought in like 2019, 2020, the peak price, and then where it's at now. And I think in a lot of instances, I think we've seen this is kind of, maybe it's not the floor, but this is kind of the base. and I think it'll go up from here. And I'm talking about classics, Mantles, Mays, Ernie Banks, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's still kind of a little volatile because he's an active player. I think the active players could still see that playing days volatility, but I think for vintage, pre-war, and all that, I think we've kind of seen a settling of sorts. Let's see. Let's go into the chat. John took the under on 1 million Cubs. That's probably a smart choice. It's going to be difficult to reach a million. You know, I've continued count. I mean, hell, I can't even count a few thousand cards. I still have several boxes to count. I think I'm going to end up, I think currently with the cards I haven't counted, I think I'm around 870,000. This week this week's going to be busy just with shipping. Reno begins, all that stuff. So it's going to be difficult to count Cubs cards, but that's adding 130,000, which is about average. I'm adding about 130,000 a year. So it's not out of the realm, but I need a big push from I need a big bulk buy or trade to come in to really push me. And that's what's kind of helped me over the past few years. Getting to that 130,000 per year average is a 40,000, 50,000. Hell, last year it was like 65,000. So the under's probably a smart move, but it's going to be really damn close by the end of the year. With just how things have averaged out over the past 5 years, it's going to be really dang close to 1 million by the end of next year, the end of this year. Cooter made 10 trades in trading card database yesterday. I expect to see more activity on platforms like TCDB and demand for value boxes and sellers as folks try to stretch declining hobby budgets. I'm seeing such in kind of piggybacking on that sentiment, I'm seeing such an influx of people selling on eBay and doing the low dollar cards on eBay, buying Fujitsu scanners, subscribing to Card Dealer Pro. There's going to be a lot of competition out there for low dollar cards and eBay, which, by the way, eBay has not solved my problem. eBay is breaking up my transactions, single transactions into multiples. It's been confirmed by multiple buyers now that they've bought in one purchase and it's split them into multiple transactions. I go into my fees and I am being charged for each of those transactions. So I'm being overcharged transaction fees. And this has been a problem dating back over a year. And just yesterday at about noon, I tracked my Saturday and up until noon Sunday transactions. There were 18 instances of this happening, and I was overcharged on, this is overcharges. This isn't total this is overcharges of 33 transactions. I'm going to do a video this week because I want to gather I don't want to just talk about it. I want to show you this is exactly what's happening. So I want to show you, here's the transactions. Here's me getting charged for them. I'm going to reach out to my buyers because I know them. And I want them to show me on their end, if they're willing. I'm sure they are. And I reached out. I started connecting with eBay employees on LinkedIn. I sent on like Christmas Eve, or the day before Christmas Eve, I sent like 4 messages to people within eBay category managers. One responded to me on Christmas Eve. When I ran those numbers, I followed up because he said my account was credited, which I never saw a credit in my account. And he said more details will follow. I followed up with him yesterday. And then he said, this is the first. Like, go back into your previous, like you just told me my account was credited. So that kind of ticked me off. So I'm connecting with more. I'm starting to find people I'm just blasting people on LinkedIn in a professional manner. But I'm just going to keep yelling from the rooftops More and more people are coming out saying, hey, I just looked into my transactions. And that's the thing. It may only be happening once or twice to you, but that's 30 cents at a time. There's 18.2 million active sellers on eBay. In the year 2022, there were 18 million active sellers. Let's just do a numbers exercise. Let me get my paper. So say there's 18 million users on eBay. Let's just say we'll use a small percent. This is occurring on 10%. That's 1.8 million sellers. That's 10%. We'll just take 10%. Very small number. That's 1.8 million. John, I did not need a calculator to do that. Okay. Now I'm going to need a calculator to do 30-cent multiplication. Okay. So let's say, because we'll just divide. So 33 happened in 36-hour period. So let's just divide that. Let's just divide that in two because we're being conservative. Let's just say 16. Let's just say 15. Say it's happening to me 15 times a day, which I do volume. So it's going to happen to me. And I'm seeing this consistently happen. Like my volume's a little higher than normal this weekend because of my sale. But 15 to 20 over the weekend. So let's just say it's happening one time. Each of the so it's happening to 10% of eBay sellers, and it's happening on average one transaction per seller. I think that's very conservative, right? That's a very conservative number. Times 30. So we want to do 1-800-00. 1.8 million times 30 cents. That's $540,000 per day. There's 365 days in a year. That's $197,100,000. And there's 18 million sellers on eBay. We're going to say 10% of those sellers are having this happen once a day. And remember, my example, I had it happen about 20 times per day over the weekend. $197 million in transaction fees that should not be charged to eBay sellers. It's happening to me. I've confirmed it multiple times over. And nobody from eBay they're listening. They're just not acting. Why would they act? That's $200 million a year if the math is accurate. So we're just going to keep blowing this up until I get an answer. And right now, nobody's giving me answers. I've reached out in the first instance, they've documented it, was about a year ago. And Jenny, thank you to Jenny. Jenny actually reached out and said, hey, they broke I bought this in one transaction. They broke it out into 3. And that was a year ago. And so I reached out and I looked and I'm like, yeah, I was charged a transaction fee on each of those 3 transactions when she made one transaction. And to many people, if it just happens once a day, it's a 30 cents here, 30 cents there. But to me, that's like $20 over a week, over a 2-day period. $10 a day adds up. And then when you do that, multiply that out by all of the sellers on eBay, it's a lot of freaking money. So nobody's replying. I did the first chat last year. Oh, there's a setting within your eBay. I changed that setting. Guess what? Continues to happen. Do another chat. Oh, we'll pass this on to our tech team. Well, I want to talk to somebody. Who do I talk to? No response. They ended the chat. Twitter DMs multiple times. We've passed this on to our tech team. Nobody's taking action. Of course, why not? We're making an extra $200 million a year. Potentially. Allegedly. There's something going on. It's a glitch. Is it is it purposeful to steal money? Probably not. I'm going to assume not. I'm sure it's just some glitch. But it's not getting tended to. It's not getting passed along to the right people to look into this. So it's really starting to piss me off because I'm not receiving any answers. So And I don't want to, and I'm going to make a separate video. Again, I want to show this all. I can just talk, but I want to show. So, I want the evidence to, I want there to be evidence backing me up here. And I don't want to, eBay's where I make my money. eBay's my employer, essentially. It's where I make my money. If they kicked me off eBay, we're Low Roller Scratcher. What if eBay suspended you? He said. I'm like, I'm not going to do anything to get suspended. Well, maybe I'm making a lot of noise with this. Maybe they will suspend me. It's like, well, shit, got to get a real job now. And I don't want to do that. I mean, I love eBay, the platform. I don't love that I'm getting ripped off $10 a day in overages, and nobody's listening to me, and nobody's acting out on this and helping. So we just make noise. Okay, soapbox over. I will be doing a separate video. Jenny suggested that. We had a chat last night, and that's part of my plan for 2023. I want to do more videos where it's specific. I'm still going to do Hobby Evolution every morning, but I do want to break it down, and I'll try to break down, these instances, but it's tough because I'm not very savvy with tech. And so trying to figure out, okay, getting these screenshots, and then because I can't just go to my eBay and show you like usernames and all of that, like scroll through doing a live StreamYard. Ideally I could cover that up, but I don't know how to do that. I guess I could learn. Anyway, I think DollarBox, I think Adam did something where he like somehow blocked out the names. I'll look into it. Flipping Sports Guy says, went into Lids with the boys this weekend. Was shocked to see a card display in full. I was at Lids in Wrigleyville over the summer, and they had Bowman hobby boxes, and I think they just had one. But they had a display, a little kiosk in the middle of the Lids. And I'm thinking, this is Wrigleyville Lids. This Bowman hobby box is going to be like $500. It was like $225. It was like cheaper than what you can find online. I was shocked. DR says, how about this prediction? Chasing Cardboard signs with the History Channel and becomes part of the American Pickers family. Oh, you know what? I have a contact that's in casting for American Pickers. I wonder if I could I'll look into that. Because there was, they reached out to me. John Cena has, I don't know if he has a production company, but John Cena is big into sports memorabilia. And there was going to be a show with John Cena and I think his brother or business partner. And it was, they reached out, the casting person reached out to me, and they're part of the American Pickers family. And then that show got shelved. And I think because John Cena started getting active in WWE again. So I'm wondering if the WWE stuff got in the way of that show, because then it just kind of got put on that idea got put on the shelf. Flipping Sports Guy says, you saw what MVP buyback did to the secondary market. 50-cent base cards going for $15. Love it. Love it. Not enough aliens for the History Channel. Where are we at? Let's see. I need a coffee maker in here. I need another cup. You saw, we did that. Paul says ComC should sell their website template to dealers so they can turn Car Dealer Pro Chrono exports into product uploads for their own sites. That's a thought. Cooter says the buyback program will not work out well if local card shops are not paid promptly. Hearing complaints as local card shops are paying out inventory and payment not coming in timely. That's the first I've heard of that. I have not heard that. That's interesting. Flipping Sports Guy says, I was definitely wondering about that. Cooter, how long do they have to wait? These shops can't wait that long. Let's see. Speaking of chasing cardboard and classic cards, they have Ruth, Gehrig, and Chamberlain rookies from our collection on eBay right now. If anyone has deep pockets is in the market. Oh, very nice. Check out, is it Breaker? It's Breaker Culture, right? eBay, the eBay user, I think it's Ty's Breaker Culture eBay account. Flipping Sports Guy says, oh my God, yes, I see at least $4 to $5.50 free shipping every card I look at. Let's see. Bo throws out the first pitch at Wrigley Field after his 1 millionth pickup. Hey, that's a bold prediction. Herman says Bo has become an influencer. It's like all they watch. It's like they all watch someone. Paul says, did all the cards in the transactions have the same shipping policy? Yes. If the shipping policies are different, they get segregated into different orders. All of my shipping, yeah. And most of these came in the same like batch of uploads. Yeah, same shipping. I have the same, well, maybe some are like 3. The only thing that I can think of is, well, let's just go to my eBay right now. Let's see what's a current. So here's one that was split up. So this was another order split up into 3 transactions. And I know it was purchased in one single transaction because it was sold with the 50% off 10 or more items. Now, if this guy only bought 3 cards and then bought 3 cards again and then bought 4 cards, he would not get the 50% off. So that's how I know it's one transaction. Let's just go into this shipping policy on this card. But that should still be a glitch. It should not matter. The onus should not be on the seller when it comes down to these transactions and shipping policies. So could that be the issue? Possibly. Let's see. Where's shipping? Shipping is free economy shipping. Returns is the same. Yeah, shipping. Oh, shipping and payments. Shipping and handling. The only thing I can think of is some of my items have 3-day handling, some are 4-day, but they're all free shipping. So if that's the case, they need to fix it. Let's see. And Cooter. So I'm glad Cooter mentioned this. So some of these, it's not happening on every single one. Cooter's transaction, yours did come over as one single transaction. It was like the only one, in fact. Actually, there was a couple others. There were a couple. But Cooter, I think, purchased 10 cards, and they all came in one order. Okay, this person, we'll call him Nick. That's his name. Nick purchased 10 cards. It was in one order. But this one that I just mentioned, Eric's order, was broken up into 4 cards, 3 cards, and 3 cards, and I was charged 3 different transaction fees, yet he purchased them in one order because he was able to get that discount. Here's an order from Kyle, broken up into 2 transactions, 5 and 5, and he got the 50% off 10 or more. I mean, here's Terry. Let's see. Terry bought 9. There's a transaction, 9 cards. Terry 2. There's another 3 transactions. And that's the most common is it's being broken up into 3 transactions of like 4, 3, and 3 or something like that. Here's one, 17 items in the order, Brian. So 17 there. 3 here, 5 here, 2 here. That's the same buyer. 4 transactions. It's really annoying. And I mean, these are all transactions. All of these examples. So Brian's order was last night at 11 p.m. So all of these examples have happened within the last 9 hours. Here's another Eric, a different Eric. And this was purchased 11 p.m. last night, actually 10:37. 3 transactions, 7 transactions, 9 transactions. So another 3 transactions. Here's Jesse. This was 10:36. This was a minute prior to Eric. 6 purchases, 5 purchases, 4 purchases, another 3 transactions. All within the last 9 hours. Let's see. Tracy says, I just checked mine, bought the 10 for 50% off, broke it into a lot of 5, a lot of 4, and a single card. Yeah, Tracy made a 10-card purchase, 3 transactions. He bought them in 1 transaction. eBay charged me. Tracy's another example of a buyer that has come out and said, yes, I bought them in 1 transaction, and it broke them down into 3. Thanks, eBay. You're costing my business money, and you're not helping me. You're stealing money. Let's see. Paul says, I can almost guarantee it's a shipping policy issue. Even if both shipping policies are for free shipping, the fact that the policies are different makes the order split on the seller's end. If that is the case, it needs to be fixed. An order is an order. Why is Tracy buying 10 cards? No matter the shipping policy, he's putting them in 1 order. And this probably goes way beyond my scope of knowledge because it's tech. It shouldn't be the case. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but to me, Tracy's buying it in 1 transaction. Why is it splitting the order up? Even if the policies are different, it's showing up. Well, it was showing. Tracy ordered it in 1 transaction. Tracy paid for it in 1 transaction. And then it breaks it down into 3 because of different policies. I guess it very well could be. It shouldn't be. Kyle says, try emailing eBay investor relations. Maybe it will get to the top and get addressed quicker. And that was my thought process on reaching out to actual people. I'm tired of going through chat. I'm tired of going through Twitter DM because they're just reading off scripts. And it's obviously not being addressed by the people in chat. And that's no knock on those people. They're just doing a job. This problem is going beyond what they can handle or control or what they can do. So that's why I've actually reached out to actual category managers, because typically they are supposed to care about their clients of eBay. And that was my hope. Only 1 person of the 4 has responded to me. I will credit him with responding in a quick manner. I mean, hell, when I reached out to him, he responded to me on Christmas Eve. So that's great. But then my follow-up yesterday, he did respond, but it's like, I can't remember his exact verbiage, but it was basically like, I don't know, I'm going to pass this on, which is what I keep getting from everyone else. Harlan says SCR needs to investigate this eBay fraud. Somebody, I think Ken actually tagged them when I was tweeting yesterday about it. So maybe they will do something about it. Flipping Sports Guy says eBay and glitch. No, that never happens. Paul says if you bulk edit your listings so they have all the same shipping policy, that should solve the problem. Let's see. Andrew, what is up? Good morning to you. Paul Heath in the house. Paul says if you go to your active listings tabs, you can filter by shipping policy, select that, and then look at the shipping policies on the list. See how many different policies are active on your listings. I'll look into that. That is a help. It shouldn't. Thank you, Paul, for because that's something I didn't think of, and that very well could be the problem. But it shouldn't have come from you. It shouldn't come from somebody watching a YouTube video and commenting, here's what is likely the problem. And it shouldn't be a problem in my eyes. I'm also not a tech guy. And I know that operations and users, and, I think we learned this a lot with, when you're working with especially software developers, they don't know typically how to use a product. Now, yes, there are software developers that, do stuff that they enjoy on the side. And since they have that, their background is in developing software, they know the workarounds. But more times than not, my former company had had a team that developed the software. And so I'm in sales. I have a way different mindset than an IT guy. So the IT guys are like, well, this is how I would do it in their IT minds. And I have a sales mind, and I'm like, this is not useful to me. This would be useful. And then the IT's got, oh, I never thought of that. And then, so it's just different ways of thinking between the two. Good morning to you. Bronco is in the house. Baseball card illustrated. Randy says, when do you move into the new house? Hopefully, my wife's optimistic and thinks May. I think June. Our current timeline is end of May, but I still, I think there's going to be some delays through the process, and I think it'll be early to mid-June. Let's see. Paul says, what's Paul say? Paul says it splits the orders by shipping policy for sellers because they may have separate locations that will each ship separately with different addresses and other variables like that. Has to be the same policy. Interesting. I noticed the same problem when I started using ChronoCard because it created a second shipping policy. I edited them all to be the same, and it doesn't happen anymore. eBay should hire me. Yes, they should. Oh my gosh. I mean, just trying to find somebody that will listen to me. I found one. I'm not getting any answers, but he's listening to me. Terry says you can go to your eBay account settings and go to business policies. It will show all policies and how many listings on each. So I'm wondering, Paul, now that you say that, that may have been the answer that they gave me. And now I have to go in and find it, because when I first brought this problem up a year ago, they told me there's a setting that I need to change, and I changed it, and it still persisted. Oh, man. I'm sure there's a chat transcript, but I have 175,000 emails, so I won't be able to find it. But there's somewhere within the settings. Let's see. Orders, overview, listings, marketing, store, performance. It's not there. It's not payments, research, reports. So maybe I'm going to edit store. And I thought whatever they told me, whatever setting it was supposed to like override this issue. Okay. Man, I'll have to go back. I'll try to find the chat transcript and look into that. But now that you mention it, now we're talking through this. I think the hack, the setting they told me about in my setting was, they're like, is your setting in whatever my setting was, it was not checked correctly. So when I checked it, it still the issue persisted, which it should have overridden this issue, whatever this issue is. So we'll see. Let's see. Uncle Rich is in the house. What's up, Uncle Rich? Good morning to you. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Rich. Paul says it makes sense because let's say I have another location where other employees ship from. One ship policy is for my location, the other is for theirs. Then the tracking and fulfillment is correct. And I think the simple fix to that is a button to override that. Like, do you have multiple locations? Don't lean on morons like me that don't, I don't think like that. I don't think about having two locations. So, and I probably most 18.2 million sellers on eBay, most are mom and pops and just dudes and ladies selling from their basement or their living room. So the KISS principle needs to apply with this issue. Keep it simple, stupid. Let's see. In radio, that's the dilemma between talent and ad salespeople. Absolutely. In transportation, it was sales and operate. Well, it was the same. It was in my last job, it was sales versus operations. And I was on the sales side in that position. And then in my radio days, I was on the talent side, and it was talent versus sales. We need more sponsors for the morning show. Give us something to sponsor. Nobody wants to hear you cook. Actually, that was the only thing that was easy to sponsor. Cooking with Bo. And I didn't even get, I thought, and this shows my naivete in my early 20s. And this is why I had to go to business school to learn my way around the business world. We were making buku bucks sponsoring my show, Cooking with Bo. And I thought I was getting off great because Hy-Vee was one of the sponsors, and they provided $25 gift card per week for ingredients. Okay, and I was supposed to use it on ingredients. Well, guess what? I need a loaf of bread. I'm going to get some milk and eggs. I work in radio, so I'm going to use every bit. And then it started being very strategic. Like, okay, I got $25. What's the cheapest thing I can make for Cooking with Bo while utilizing that other money for my own dinners and lunches? But I should have been asking for money. Like, hey, give me 10% of what you're bringing in on Cooking with Bo. Should have asked for the money. It would have been a lot more than $25 a week in groceries, although it did help a starving radio guy in his early 20s. Andrew says, I checked your Don Kessinger. He should be in your hometown. Oh, very nice. Thank you, Andrew. Patrick, what is up? Good morning to you. Thanks for your help. CDP is doing great. Awesome. I have one question. I would like to simply use A2, A3, etc. to ID each card. Not a long skew, but can't figure out how to implement such a system. Should be pretty easy. So basically just, and I kind of use like box A or box 8, tab A is essentially what you're talking about. 8A, 8B, 8C. So in the spreadsheet, when Card Dealer Pro spits out the spreadsheet, like column B is custom label skew. So you can utilize A1, A2. So then when you're uploading batches, say you have, and I try to keep it with like 100 cards per batch. So A1 has 100 cards, A2 has 100 cards, A3, etc. And then I use the trading card dividers. I mean, hell, you can use Post-it notes. You can use index cards. You don't have to buy the plastic card dividers. And then just make sure. And what I do when I list upstairs and I have, say it's A1, I'll scan the 100 cards and then I'll upload them. And then I'll do, when I'm doing, 500, 1,000 a day, I've got piles of cards and I don't want to, which is A1 and which is 7C. So I put a Post-it note A1 and I put it on the top of that pile. And then just hope I don't knock the piles over, which has not happened yet. Knock on plastic. So that's my system. Let's see. Paul says you can DM me on Twitter if you want. I think I may be on the right path. But I will, I'll let you know if I run into any issues. Bruce, what's up? Good morning to you. How many viewing hours do you average on this show? I don't know. Brian says, write it down. Harlan says SCR investigates and finds out Bo forgot to hit save after changing the setting, right? Red Light has a question on buying. Let's see. Rich says it's always those damn salespeople. It is. Salespeople get all the blame. And most of the time they deserve it. And that's coming from a sales guy. This sounds like embezzlement. Red Light 34 says, I got one order I did. It was $10.41 for 10 cards. And now the other order for 10 cards is $11.94. Why? I don't understand. Were they all the same prices? And was that from, were you buying from my store? I guess the first question was, are you buying from my store? And the second question was, were they all the same prices? And if you answer the first question and say, yes, it was from my store, I can go look. Let's see. Red Light says all Pete Rose cards through you. Okay, let me see. And I'll ask you, did you purchase them in one transaction? And we'll see if it was broken up on my end. Okay. Oh yeah. You just bought them. So this is weird. So Red Light 34, his name is Mike. So I'm showing you bought 10 cards total, and it split it up into 2 transactions. 1 card for $1.50, 9 cards. So this, so what it looks like on my screen is 1 transaction of 9 cards. Total was $8.91, but you got the 50% discount, which knocked it down to $4.73. And then a single transaction of $1.50, and it was 80 cents because of the tax. So I'm showing, did you buy just 10 cards? Let's see. So that was just now. Let's see. When did you make the other? So you said that was your second purchase. So let's go, Mike. Let's see. Okay, so maybe it's on page 2. Brian says 100 cards, 5 team bags, 20 cards per bag. Label, bag, and divider the same. Let's see. There's Tracy's order that was split up. Okay, so Mike. So I'm just seeing this recent order, unless it's on page 3. It shows you how many shipments I have to go out. Unless did I already ship it? So I'm only showing 1 open order for you. And it was just like in the last few minutes. So yeah. So Mike, let me know when that if there was another order. Let's see. I've not checked out the second order. No, yes. You can have eBay sort your orders by buyer username so they're all together. Oh, hey, that is the other one just got. Okay, I don't see, and I must have already shipped the other order. How do I, Paul? How do I sort by username on the results? Oh, because I've got it by date sold, buyer username. Oh my gosh, Paul, I think you just saved me a ton of headaches. Sort by. I'm an idiot. That freaking window's been there. Let's see. Come on. My slow internet. It's not refreshing. Or eBay's not refreshing. Okay, so there's Harry, Kyle, Eric, George, Brandon. Oh my gosh. Paul, I love you. Paul, star of the day. Oh my gosh. That saves me so much of a headache. Because what happens, I have sort by date, but I'll have people, they'll buy multiple cards and it may be like a day apart. And so I'm shipping and it's like, this guy just bought a card yesterday. So I go back and I basically just put it in, it's 1 card and then a second card and I put it in the same envelope. But it's a pain and it slows me down. Paul, you are the best. Let's see. Red Light 34 says the other one I just did 2 orders. So it's showing I only see an order of a total order. The order that you just made, was it 10 cards total, or did you do 2 orders, 1 card and 9 cards? Because it's showing on my end, but as we know, it's splitting those up. So I'm going to go back to sort by date sold. So the only open order I have for you, Mike, is 10 cards. So when did you make the orders? Oh, that's oldest first. Although, hey, this is even better. My God. I've shipped in the last 2 years about 100,000 cards. And until now, when Paul mentions sort by username, I have never used the sort function. And I always thought it would be really easy if I could just sort from top to bottom on oldest to newest, because it was always just defaulted to newest. And so I would have to go to the final page to get to the oldest, ship first in, first out. I'm an idiot. My gosh. So doing a YouTube show, this overtime has paid off. I've lost a half an hour in shipping because I've gone long today, but I've learned an amazing hack. Let's see. So Mike, I'm only seeing one 10 card purchase from you of the Pete Rose cards. So I guess what is the issue? I got one order. It was $10.41 for 10 cards. And now the other order is for 10 cards is $11.94. So I'm still not understanding because I don't see a second 10 card order. I see one 9 card order on my screen. I see one 9 card order and one 1 card order. So just 10 cards total. And my timestamp on here is 8:18 a.m. 8:18 a.m. on the Pete Rose. So the only ones I see, 87 league leaders Pete Rose, and then 9 of the Leaf Living Legends Pete Rose cards. That's all I see on my screen. Hit refresh. I just did hit refresh and nothing populated. Oh, there it is. Did it just come over? No. Oh, yes. Okay. Here's a 10 card order. Okay. So Mike, I've got 3 transactions total from you. I've got the one we were just talking about, 9 and 1, and then the second order came across as one 10 card order with the 86s and the Leafs. So that came over as $11.94. This came over as $8.91 plus $1.50. So what's the math on that? Let's see. By the way, there's a 50% off sale in my eBay store. The link is in the description. The coupon code, which I think I did not put in the description, is New Year's 50 off. New Year's 50 OFF. So $1.50 plus $8.91 is $10.41. Oh, I know, Mike. I think some of these cards were 99 cents. Does that make sense? Yeah. I think there were different price. Well, I guess I can just click into it. Okay, so the Pete Rose Leaf cards were 99 cents. So you got those for 50. And then, yeah, so there's just different price points on the cards. That's why. So the 86s were $1.50. So that's why there was a differential in price. Yeah, and there were 20 cards total. And but eBay split, and it's probably going back to what Paul said as far as the shipping, which is a glitch, and it's a pain in the ass because now I got to go figure out and get all of them on the same page, 30,000 listings, and make sure 30,000 listings have the same damn shipping, whatever. If that's the case. Frustrating. Let's see. Cooter says, watching Bo discover eBay screens is like watching the brother in Field of Dreams finally see the Black Sox players. Where did this screen come from? That's how I felt. Like sorting. Like, God, I'm an idiot. I love spreadsheets and I love Excel, and yet I can't figure out how to sort on eBay. I feel really dumb. I am really dumb for not knowing that. Rich says, going back to yesterday, have Mike teach you those ComC hacks so you can make your life even easier, right? Paul says you can filter the awaiting shipment orders too. So if you're overwhelmed, you can filter to just the ones due within 24 hours and get those done and wait on the others. That's a great point. I'm trying to get all of my handling times to either 3 or 4 days. That's probably because I think I've changed. Some are 3 days, some are 4 days. It depends because the shipping settings are going to be different if I list on my phone as opposed to Car Dealer Pro, or if I have a listing that's 2 years old. What a pain in the ass. Brian says 2 screwdrivers, a hammer, and now a sort button. I am moving on up. Let's see. Harlan says hit refresh, and that worked. MI3 Card says I'm working on somehow finding 10 cards out of your 30,000 listings that I want. There's plenty there. What do you collect? Because I can tell you, if you give me an inkling of what you're looking for, there's a lot of deals that can be had. But if you have if you're a Cubs fan, you're out of luck unless you want prospect cards. Like one of the guys was a Cubs fan and he found 10 cards, like of Pete Crow Armstrong as a Met, Cody Bellinger Dodger cards. So I might be able to help you. Paul says when you switch to shipping with the bulk labels, you'll be doing same-day shipping. I have found a way to be more efficient on my shipping, and I'm going to do a separate video on that, which it's similar to bulk labels. I still don't see the time savings in bulk labels, because the time spent is the exact same. But it's all about how you manage the time. And what I'm finding, and I'll just give you a sneak peek, it's pulling the cards first. And yes, you're not saving any time by the action. The action of pulling cards is going to be the same. Time spent. Printing the labels, same time spent. But it's that downtime that gets me. I'm spending the same amount of time pulling cards and printing the labels. But what gets me is when I go pull a card and then print the label, and sometimes it's fast, but sometimes it's not. And then that downtime, it's like, oh, look, squirrel. By the way, I did that my wife and I were at the kitchen table yesterday. I think it was during lunch yesterday. And all of a sudden I see a squirrel. I'm like, oh, look, squirrel. Literally. And as I said that, I go, my God, I really do have ADD. Hey, look, squirrel. We don't get many squirrels in our backyard. And so when I saw one prancing on our patio, hey, look, squirrel. Anyway, that's what happens. So when I pull a card and then I go to ship it, there's downtime. And that downtime, I'm getting my phone out, and then I'm spending 5 minutes looking at Twitter or whatever. And then I'm going to blowout forums or whatever. And that's why it takes me longer. So it's not the process of, it's not managing the time. It's managing the priorities, or maybe it is managing the time and not, I don't know. Anyway, John says you're still on. Started before I showered. I've since been to a teeth cleaning and back on my couch. We'll just keep going all day long. What else do you want to talk about? We'll keep going. Not that I have 216 items to ship. So I do have to ship, and we're meeting our contractor at like 9:30. So I basically have enough time to get another cup of coffee, and eat breakfast, and then go to the house. Does UPS deliver today? That's a good question. I don't know, but I do have to end it now. Paul, awesome advice. Thank you. Thank you everyone for the chat. Have a great Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday morning. Try to keep it closer to an hour tomorrow. And we'll go. So by the way, that my 50% off sale goes through Wednesday night. So about, I think it ends at like midnight Wednesday, 11:59 p.m. Wednesday. So check out my eBay store. The link is in the description of this video. The coupon code for 50% off 10 or more items is New Year's 50 off. New Year's, plural, 50 OFF. So have a great Monday. We'll chat tomorrow.